Okay. All right. So we have in the Enuma Elish version of it, Utnapishtim is the name of the person that is saved. And the gods, the plural, the gods find people to be too plenty. There are too many people. They're making too much noise. They disturb the gods. And so the gods decide to destroy the world through a flood. One of the gods decides to save Utnapishtim and builds him some kind of a craft that he is saved on. I haven't looked at it in a while, so I don't remember all the other details of it. But after the flood is over, he offers a sacrifice to the gods. And it describes what happens is, well, first of all, the gods are hungry. There's been nobody around to feed them after all of humanity is wiped out. And so Utnapishtim sacrifices an animal, the smoke goes up, and the gods hover around the smoke, inhaling the smoke of the sacrifice like flies. That's the language used in the Enuma Elish. Now, what do we see paralleled in the biblical account? A flood that God saves. But it's not, God isn't bothered by the noise. He's bothered by the evil, the violence that has inflicted the earth, infected the earth. He chooses to say no, save Noah because he is a righteous man. He tells Noah to save various creatures. After the flood, Noah too does offer a sacrifice to God in thanksgiving. Okay? But it seems that there's a conflict amongst the gods reflected in the Enuma Elish. There's no gods to be having a conflict in the biblical account. There's no moral aspect of why the gods choose to destroy the world. The biblical account is that men are acting wrong, bad, evil. So, and then when it's over, the one God who saved Noah is the one God that is worshipped by Noah. God's not pictured as coming down and smelling the smoke and like that, although that imagery of reach nichoach, a pleasant aroma, is used in reference to sacrifices. Okay? But so we can see certain borrowings, maybe, or at least parallels in the different accounts. So we have Noah. Noah's got 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Yafet. He, as I said, he gets drunk afterwards, and he's lying naked in his tent, and his son Ham comes in and sees him, and he goes and tells his brothers, and Shem and Yafet go to cover their father. In order to do it, since he's lying naked, they walk in backwards with a cloak between them and drape it over their father, as a sign of their respect for the situation that he's in. Ham now is cursed by, actually not Ham, but Ham's son, Canaan is cursed by Noah. Canaan is at least the eponymous ancestor of the people who lived in the land of Canaan, and it serves as a partial justification for eventually Israel's replacement of them in the land of Canaan, land of Israel. So then the story goes on. We had Adam and Eve, then we expand into the story of all humanity. Then we concentrate on on Noah and his immediate family. Their descendants are described. So again, we have this moving outward, and we have a story of the Tower of Babel, just real briefly. It says they're trying to build this tower to the heavens. We don't know why exactly, but they're not spreading out all over the world. They're staying together in one place. There's a lot of meat there to interpret, but it be that as it may. The rabbis say, again, cooperation is wonderful, right? They're cooperating, they're working together. But this is in Rashi, quoting from one of the Midrashim, when they would have one of their, they're building this tower. And if somebody fell off the tower and died, they said, oh, okay, sorry about that. But if a brick was dropped, we lost a building brick for the tower. They're more concerned with the brick that fell than the person that fell. Now, that's not in the text of the Torah. That's the rabbis. Again, the rabbis often try to elaborate, and also if there's something wrong, something considered to be not good of a person or an act, what have you, the rabbis tend to pile up. It's like in football, you know, in football, one guy tackles them and then everybody else jumps on top, right? Which is usually a penalty, but the rabbis don't take it as a penalty. Right? So and God comes, decides to disturb the activities by messing up the language. Up until then, there was only one language. Now there are many different languages. They can't understand each other, and they spread out and fill out the world. Right? And so now, we return to the genealogy, and most especially we're concerned with the genealogy of Shem, who is either the first or second born, depending upon which verse in the Torah you go by. And he eventually has a descendant whose name is Terach. And Terach has 3 sons, one of whom is Avram, later be known as Abraham. And he leaves where he has been and sets out for Ur Kasdim. We are left just hanging there, waiting for the full story of Abraham that takes place next week. Okay? And now, from now on, the central figures of the biblical story is always going to be Abraham, his family, his descendants, the people of Israel. There are books of the Bible that are not necessarily Jewish in the sense of the book of Job. Job is unclear who he is, what he was, where he comes from. So he's not necessarily at all a Jewish figure. There are aspects of the book of Proverbs that may be part of the standard Middle East kind of philosophical, wisdom literature, we call it. But the bulk of the Bible, the Tanakh, is concerned with Israel, the people of Israel. Okay? So that's going to be from now on. Other nations, other peoples are tangential to that storyline. They come in, allies, villains, what have you, but they're not central to the story. It's going to follow after that. Okay. All right. Now, as I said, tonight we're going to start our Hebrew program. Everybody here should have a text with them. In your own text, you're invited to write notes, scribbles. Please don't just scribble in it, but if you need notes and need to write anything down, please do so. Now, I like to give an introduction to Hebrew. You don't have to necessarily remember all of this. It's not necessary for anything other than I feel more comfortable that you get a background of what this is all about. Right? First of all, Hebrew is a Semitic language. It's related to Arabic. There are very clearly some words in Arabic that are almost identical to the Hebrew. It's related to Aramaic. And Aramaic becomes especially important because that becomes the language that replaces Hebrew in the land for Jews in the land of Israel and elsewhere. And the Talmud is written in Aramaic. The Kaddish is actually Aramaic. Right? And so it is a related language, but it's not the same. The alphabet comes from probably the same alphabet was used amongst the Phoenicians and the Canaanites. The original alphabet, let's see. I don't know if any of these work or not. All right. Let's have a board here. All right, so much for that. Must be a whiteboard there. And I'm not going to write on the walls. My grandsons might do that, but I wouldn't do it. Okay. All right. Maybe next time I will send you some examples of it. It's also related to the Greek alphabet. The Greek alphabet probably derives from these Proto-Canaanite alphabet. They originally were pictures. Originally is a pictogram. The first letter in Hebrew is the letter Aleph. And if you know Greek, or you remember you're learning about the Greek alphabet, the first letter in the Greek alphabet is Alpha. Second letter, Hebrew is Bet. In Greek, it's Beta. Gimel, Gamma. Dalet, Delta. After that, it doesn't follow exactly the same. But you see, just listening to the names of the letters, you can see how they are related to each other. Why is Aleph called Aleph? Originally, Aleph was like a V with a cross going like this, like an upside down A, a capital A, okay? Or it was a more rounded, it was supposed to be an ox, an ancient Hebrew word for ox, aluf. So originally it was a pictogram of an ox. And since the first letter in the word ox was the Aleph, which may have had a pronunciation back then, today it doesn't, it then later becomes seen as a letter, no longer just a picture of an ox, but the letter that is symbolized by the first sound of the word for ox. Bet, beta, bait, house. It was supposed to be a symbolic house. Gimel, the original Gimel was sort of like an L at an angle. And if you use your imagination a little bit, a camel's head is head and the neck, right? And that was the Gamma, Gimel. Gamal is Hebrew for camel, as it is very closely related in Arabic. I'm not sure if it's exactly the same word or not. All right. So these all begin life as pictograms, later develop into an alphabet. And of course, the alphabet makes it a lot easier to learn. You take a look at hieroglyphics. You have so many hieroglyphics, it's very difficult to learn all of the hieroglyphics to make a statement. Or Chinese, the way their alphabet form runs. The original Hebrew alphabet does not look like the alphabet we use today. It's referred to by the rabbis as Ktav Ivri, Hebrew writing. And the letters that we use today is referred to by rabbis as Ktav Arami, Aramaic, because that's apparently comes from the Aramaic speaking areas where they adopted the alphabet to their forms. So that's how the Aleph we have today is not anywhere near the alpha originally was. And there's a whole discussion in the Talmud dealing with the original alphabet that the Torah was written in, how could it have been written one way or the other, what have you. And we won't go into details on that. But during the revolt against the Romans in the year 68 CE, when coins were issued, in order to kind of show respect or legitimacy to the role of the Jewish nation, they reused the ancient alphabet, the older alphabet. And in the Dead Sea Scrolls, amongst the Dead Sea Scrolls, some of them have the same alphabet that we use today. For example, if you see the Isaiah scroll, it was here a few years ago, or at least a copy of it. I don't think it was a real thing. But you can read it. Anybody can read Hebrew could read the Isaiah scroll. However, in some of the Qumran writings, the name of God, Yud He Vav He, was always spelled using the older alphabet. So that was part and parcel of its development. All right. There are 22 letters to the Hebrew alphabet. Some of them have two forms. One, if it's at the beginning or at the end, beginning or middle of a word, and a different form at the end. That was not original. That was some creation. Somebody came up with the idea at some stage of history to do that. We will see that as we go along. We will come across those. Some letters have two sounds depending upon whether or not there is a dot in them. And we will talk about those later more. But essentially, the dot indicates an air stop for those letters versus a non-air stop. For example, the first letter that we're going to learn is the letter bet, the second letter of the alphabet on page 1. Where else would you begin? Page 1. Jewish books always begin on page 2, by the way. The Talmud is always page 2 it starts with, right? The letter bet, the difference between the B sound and the V sound is an air stop. If you want to say V, the air keeps going. You want to say B, you have to put your lips together for a second. But otherwise, it's said in the same place. So bet, we don't make a distinction between Gimel and Daled, Kaf and Chaf, Pei and Fei, Tav and Thav, or Tav and Sav, depending upon the way you speak, or in modern Israeli Hebrew style, that makes no distinction either. Okay? But don't worry about, we'll see that as we go along. Okay? This book is designed to teach you how to read a blessing. So what we have is on the top of each page is the letter that we're working on, usually in a larger size than the other letters. Hebrew is written from right to left. Why is Hebrew written from right to left? The same, what?
It's a tradition.
That's as good an answer as any. I was going to say it's the same reason that English is written from left to right.
It's tradition.
But, you know, there are examples of some kind of a student's learning to write, the Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Daled kind of thing. And instead of it going right to left, it goes right to left. And then on the next line, it goes left to right. So it snakes its way down.
That's confusing.
That would be, yeah, well, so it was a brilliant idea. Another brilliant idea was to separate words. You look at old Latin inscriptions, for example, they don't separate the words. Right? So to separate words is already another innovation. Right? Furthermore, Hebrew alphabet is only a consonantal alphabet. There are no vowels in the Hebrew alphabet. As distinct from English, A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y, as I learned, serve as vowels. In the 8th, 9th century, a voweling system of dots and dashes was created to make it easier to read the Hebrew. If you look at a Torah scroll, no vowels. Some words have been slightly altered over the course of the generations to make them easier to read. Right? So that we will come to that a little bit later on, okay? So that's my general introduction. Whatever stays with you, stays with you. Whatever you forget, that's fine too, okay? All right, so we're going to start with a blessing that one you should learn very quickly, very soon, because it's said every Friday night and every Shabbos morning, the blessing for wine. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Every bracha, every blessing in Hebrew begins the same way. The first 3 words are the same. Baruch, atah, and Hashem, the name of God. The word Baruch is most of the time translated as blessed or blessed. That's a big problem. I don't think that's a correct translation, because if it's saying, blessed are you, God, how can we bless God? So a lot of traditional commentary suggests that really it's God is the source of blessing. Baruch means wellspring of blessing or something along those lines. But that's a kind of wordy translation. You will either see blessed or praised is the translation in most prayer books, Siddurim. Okay, so at the top of page 1, you see that this is the beginning of every bracha, every blessing. The first 2 words, Baruch, Atah, are full-fledged words. The double yud there, which we'll explain later, is just an abbreviation for the name of God. Okay? Okay, so the word we're working on in Baruch, and the first letter of Baruch is a letter Bet. Okay, everybody see that letter Bet in the middle of the page. Right, and it says it has the same sound as B. Whenever that letter has the dot in it, it's the same as the English B. It's always going to be B. With the dot, it's always B. Without the dot, we'll come to later on, and that will be a V. All right? Don't worry about the other ones yet. Let's worry about what we've got so far. Let's just take it a step at a time. I always give out too much information. Okay? So everybody say with me, B. Now say B. You'll notice, by the way, it's not just the B sound that's coming out. There's also an Try and say, how can you say a consonant without some kind of vowel sound with it? It's very difficult. All right, so in Hebrew, every syllable is composed of either a consonant followed by a long vowel, or a consonant, short vowel, consonant. So it's either going to be 1 letter syllable or 2 letter syllable. Okay. So Baruch, you hear that? What? Ba, it's a syllable. Ruch is a syllable. Now you have a little lesson for homework. At the bottom of the page, it says, go through this paragraph from the Siddur. Every time you find the letter Bet, pronounce it. So I tell you what, we'll start here. The first word, is there a Bet in it?
No.
No. Okay. Okay.
No, not in the second.
Not in the second. And the third? Not in the third. How about the fourth?
Yep.
All right. Next word? No. The next word? Oh, and there's an exclamation part. There's a point, all right? The next one, no. And the last one on that line?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the next line. The first word?
No.
Second word? Third word? Fourth word? Fifth word?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same word, as a matter of fact. Next word? Next word? Last word? Okay. Now let's go down to the next line. When there's a dash between 2 words, it means they're 2 words, but they're brought together. Okay? Kol Zman is what that first one is. Is there anything there? So now what looks like the second word, the longer word after that, is there a Bet in it, a B? The word before the apostrophe, comma, excuse me? Yes. The next word? No. Next word? Next word? Next last word on the line? Last word? No. All right, we're down to the next line. First word?
Nope.
Second word? No. Correct answer is no, because there's no dot in it. Okay, the third? Yes. The fourth, that combined round word, no. The next word? The last word on the line? And the first word on the next line? Well, that's 3 lines from the bottom. Is there a letter bet in there?
No.
Look at it. Look carefully. That's why they're doing this exercise. They want you to be able. You're looking at the nun. They're seeing the second letter in that word. That's the letter nun. That's not the bet. Notice how short it is. If you look down line below it, the next word on the line below, the first word begins with the bet. See how the difference, the crossbars, I guess. All right. All right. So Baruch is a bet in it. The next word, third word, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, the compound word, last word, the last line has one. Okay. This, by the way, is the prayer you're supposed to say every morning. You created it, you fashioned it, you placed it within me, you guard it within me. The whole time that my soul is within my body, I give thanks to you, Lord, my God and God of my ancestors, master of all creation, Lord of all souls. Praise or blessed are you, Lord God. Blessed are you, Lord, who has in his hand the soul of every living creature and the spirit of the flesh of all mankind or humanity. All right? I don't expect you to remember the prayer yet. That's what you're supposed to say every morning when you get up. That's after you wash your hands. That's later. You get up, how does my wife do with the kids? That's the day school thingy. All right. And there's another one, the cows in the field go moo, moo, moo. I don't remember it. I have to listen to better. My grandsons do it fine. They have no problems with it. 4 and 2, so yeah, I'm too old for it. Okay. Now, as I said, the Masoretes, that's the name of the people who are dealt with the Torah, Bible itself, making sure they preserved carefully the manuscript of the Bible. We call it the Masoretic text. The version of the Hebrew Bible that we use is known as the Masoretic text. It has some differences from, for example, the Samaritan Bible. And it certainly has some differences from the base, whatever was used in creating the Septuagint, which was translated into Greek from the Hebrew Bible. All right, so they came up with the vowel signs. It took a while before they caught on. And the first one we're going to read about on page 2, the Hebrew name of it is Komatz. Now the Komatz, we're going to learn it as ah. Right? You see, it says, which is the sound of ah, as in Shabbat. Now I'm teaching you what is kind of a Sephardic with a little bit of Ashkenazis thrown into it. The Sephardic pronunciation does not distinguish between the 2 vowels that are used for ah. All right, but if you go to a shul where they use the old Ashkenazis pronunciation, it'll be o. But we're going to learn it as ba. All right, so when you connect it with a letter, you have the consonant, and underneath it, most of the time, is the vowel. So look at the bottom line of page number 2. Sorry, we're going to sound like a bunch of little kids, but that's the way you have to learn it, okay? So we're gonna read together. Put your finger far right side of the page. We have, come on, guys. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, ba, black sheep. What? Yeah, ba, ba, black sheep. Okay. There really is no other way to do it. You know, some people, you know, if you want to learn how all the letters and everything, that's the only way to do it when you're not dealing with a language that the writing and the language are the same. Okay. Now, page number 3. Yeah. The second letter in the word Baruch sounds like an R. Baruch. Baruch. So that's the letter Resh. Now, notice that it curves on the right-hand top. The line, when you write the Resh, or when the Resh is printed, the leg and the crossbeam don't stand out of each other. They go straight into each other. If it's a different letter, it will extend a little bit over the top. All right? But here, the Resh has a rounded end. So you can remember that the Resh is always rounded on one end. The Dalet that doesn't round. Yeah, the right, top right corner, the other left, right. See, there's a little curve. All right, everybody on the same page with me right now? Okay, so now we're going to read the sounds. So Resh with an under it sounds like Ra. All right, so line number 1, we have Ra, Ba, Ra, Ba, Ra. Number 2, Ra, Ba, Ra, Ba, Ba, Ra, Bar, Ra, Ba. Okay, everybody still together here? Any confusion? Okay, line number 3. Rab, Bar, Bara, Rabba, Rar, Rabar, Barar. If there's no vowel associated with the letter, it's just the sound of the letter. Now, usually that's only going to come at the end of a syllable. Okay, if it's at the beginning of a syllable, it's going to have some kind of another sound with it. All right. Okay, line number 4. Ba, ba, ra, ra, ba, ba, ra, ba, bar, ra, ba, bar. All these are all mostly nonsense syllables, by the way. Okay. Yeah, you're reading letters. Well, bar is Aramaic for son of, as in bar mitzvah. Okay? But he's just trying to give you, or she's trying to give you a way of reading it. All right. Page number 4. All right. Okay, all right, we're trying, the next letter in the word Baruch is the letter Vav. It's here, though, it's a vowel. Its sole purpose is as a vowel. It's technically not a letter, consonantal letter. You don't have to remember anything, but it is pronounced as U. Okay? It is a vowel. As a vowel, it has to have some kind of consonant before it. All right? The shuruk is called a shuruk. All right? So right now, let's remember this symbol, the letter Vav with a dot in it. We're going to remember it as a vowel, as U. Not vu, but U. We'll let you get confused later on with vu, but that's later problems. Okay? So let's go down to line number 1. We have boo, ru, ru, boo, oo. Line number 2. Bor, rabba, baru, rubu, bara. All right, line number 3. Rabu, rabur, babur, roar, barur. Okay, line number 4. Urabu, baru, barur, babur, urabur. Line number 5. Bur, buru, urabur, rabu, buru. Teaching Hebrew is probably more difficult. Of all the things I do in this class, it's teaching the Hebrew is the most difficult. Not because of subject matter. It's that, you know, I tend to run because, you know, I want to get through it. I know it. Yeah. So I apologize. Anytime I start going too fast on it, yell, scream, throw something, let me know, okay? Because I'm here for you, not you for me. Okay? All right. Okay, now we come to a very strange vowel. Okay? We're still working on the word Baruch, but we're not going to work on the letter that we're working now on the vowel. The vowel is called a shva. Shva. If you know phonetics, there is a sound in phonetics called a schwa. Schwa is shva. In Hebrew, biblical Hebrew, the letter vav, when it's a letter, was probably originally pronounced as a W. That's why I get shawa, shawarma.
I was just thinking.
Yeah, that's where shawarma comes from. All right. Okay, so now this sound, the shva or the schwa, is the minimal sound that you have to make to pronounce a consonant. If you're going to pronounce a consonant that doesn't have any vowel with it, let's take the b sound. We're not saying, you can't say without something. That little that allows you to say b, that's what that sign indicates. That minimal sound that you use. Okay, so right now, you get a big headache later on when I tell you it's going to mean something else too.
Because I'm doing other stuff with Hebrew.
I know, all right. Okay.
They do it differently.
The order is different.
Well, not just the order, it's just the recognition of the vowels.
Okay, I don't know about how that'd be different, but all right. You'll explain to me later. All right? So, as I say, it's what is necessary to pronounce a letter. So look at line number 1. I'll go through it first, then we'll do it together. So it's ba, ra, ba, baru, rabu, barur. Okay? So let's read it together. We have ba, ra, ba, baru, rabu, barur. Okay? So as he says, also read as a stop or a pause, having no sound at all. So that's why the Masoretes gave us a big headache. They used the same sign for 2 different purposes. And you're just going to have to learn how to distinguish them. So sometimes it means there is no vowel. So let's look at bar, all right? In the middle of the page, we have bar. Bet, resh, bar. If you wanted another way of writing it, nobody would write it that way. We'd put a shva under the resh. And they tell you, again, there's no vowel. So it's just bar. Because See,
that, yeah, that's how it's.
You have-
It's silent.
I apologize. I have to walk around sometimes.
Yeah.
I've been doing this all along. All right. Why you have a dot?
Because it's silent.
No,
You
at
didn't-
the end, like why would you even put it there?
You wouldn't.
Oh,
If you were writing it today, you would not. Remember, right now we're working on nonsense syllables, nonsense words to teach us. He's saying the word bar, bet, right? That's the letter bet. The is a long or a short vowel depending on circumstances. This is going to be a short vowel because it's only a two-letter word. It's a long vowel, but the final consonant gets absorbed into it. We don't say ba. We say bar. You know, you go down the street to the neighborhood bar.
It's like having a silent letter.
I was just going to say that.
Not exactly.
I thought that it was silent.
Like
Not-
a vowel is-
Not exactly. It's used two ways. It's not. Sometimes it's silent.
That's what I was-
Sometimes it's indicative of that minimum sound that you have to make. At the beginning of a word, beginning of a syllable, that's part of a word, that stuff that comes after it, that's when it's going to have a sound to it. But in the middle of the word, it can be no sound. And at the end of the word, if the vowel is there, it's no sound. Okay. Excuse me for a minute. I have to take a little break and I shall be back shortly.
So vowels at the end of the word don't make a sound. There's no reason to put them there, but sometimes they can.
It's that there are no vowels in any of the alphabet, so right?
No, it's the
So
line part of
replace with the
vowel.
lines instead. So the ones-
Okay,
There's
here's
no like
my, here's a
specific.
little cheat sheet.
You know how English has A-E-I-O-U?
So the vowels go with the letters and the letters are consonants. Unless
Like
you
they're
have
not
something
actually
like
their own
this.
words.
You just
Not
said
their
there's
own
no
letters.
actual letter.
Yeah.
There's this line.
This is so hard.
So
I
here,
go through that. I
so
know.
if
I
this
just want to get
were
confused,
six
is what I don't want.
as an I,
And why?
if you would do it, you could do an ST and have some kind of squiggle underneath here that represents that
You
sound.
wouldn't mind.
And then it's like everything. Adriana, your call, Adriana, that little symbol that you got underneath it is called, it's the name of
You
the
don't really
symbol.
need to know the name.
Yeah, you don't need to know the name.
It's like the second letter of our alphabet. It's called B. And what's the sound of it? The.
Yeah.
It's called. My name is
Lauren.
Lauren, that's me, I'm called
And I
Lauren.
think
Everyone
Howard
knows
knows
this
other guys.
Call.
Mark was not on-
Got it?
or on the same.
It's very efficient.
I
Really.
guess so.
And that's exactly what we do. Okay, look forward to
Absolutely. They write.
But it doesn't matter, you still know the sound, you still have to know that that's silent,
Right. You have a
Because
really
when we
good
get
teacher.
to the word,
It says sit.
unless it's these are all things that say, so when we get to see,
Shot.
there's all our words.
They confuse me when I say.
Cut.
I know the words.
Explaining why the
And this is
Vowel.
like
This is
Bible.
why we're doing it. So we can,
That's how they choose, that's what they chose.
yeah.
There's someone-
That's the English, that's the
Well,
English, right?
there's
So
one
we're
thing.
doing the rules.
One, I have a photocopy of a late antiquity manuscript, which the vowels are all on top.
That's all we're trying to do.
All the vowels appear on top of the letters, and they're not necessarily the same as we have now. There were two different styles that were created by different groups, and this is the one that won the battle.
At least you don't need to know both.
No, but actually, if you know one, you can figure out how the other one's working.
Right.
It's not very hard. Okay, so let's look at line number 2. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what they meant on line number 2. On the page 5.
You don't know what they meant with the vowel at the end of the word?
Yep. Well, a reason why I say that is because the first one is clear. That's going to be what?
Bar.
Bar. The next one?
Bar.
Barbor, or bar, excuse me, bar, or barabar, barabar, barabar. I don't know.
I wonder.
Isn't that just bar board? Isn't it become a hard?
It's just bar, isn't it? That's how I would read it.
Well, I'm telling you that according to grammar, of course, this is not a grammatical thing, it should be barabar. But they want it to be bar. Line number 2. Line number 2. The second word can either be bar or barabar. I think it's supposed to be bar, but I'm guessing at it. Yeah. See, if we were writing this today, if I'm writing it today with standardized voweling put into it, there would be no vowel sign under the resh. In which case it would be bar.
But then why do they put it there?
Yeah.
Why even teach it?
Well, because you need to know both. Both are there.
Oh, so that's the other way that didn't win out.
No. It's look at line number 4. The first word on line number 4 is pronounced. Line number 4. Rabar. Line 4. Rabar.
But they're pronouncing the
Yeah, you are pronouncing the schwa.
So why?
You see, that's why it's a different. For rule of thumb to work with right now. At the beginning of a word, if that vowel sound is under the first letter, since there's no other vowel associated with it, you cannot say the resh without some kind of sound at the beginning of a word.
At the end of a syllable.
At the end of a syllable, you can say it without pronouncing a vowel. Har, car, bar, barbarian, right? Barber, right? See, so that's why that's what it's used to help indicate that. It's also there because of grammar. That we would have been much better off if they had not decided to put it in there, and you would just have to know the grammar of it, but that's not going to help you because you don't know the grammar. Okay, moving on. So let's go back now to line number 2. Okay, third word is barbor. Line number 2, third word, barbor. Barbor. Not barbor. Barbor, like the hair barber.
Barbor, also known as
It could be. Well, I'm going to tell you. Yeah. Don't do the sound. Because theoretically, if it were sounded under the resh, it would not be barabor, it'd be baravur.
But there's a dot in the back.
Oh, I know.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
forget it. Let's-
Yeah, but it would drop out. That's when we get later.
I'm jumping.
Yeah, you're jumping ahead. Okay. Now we're all completely famished. Yes. Where were we? Line number 3. 3. Ladies and gentlemen, I need your undivided attention. As we said as a kid, ladies and gents, hobos and tramps, cross-eyed mosquitoes and bow-legged ants. Okay, line number 3. There's more to it, but I'll skip it. Bar, bar.
Where are you?
Line number 3. Line number 3. Everybody, 3. 1, 2, 3. Bar, bar. Bar, boar. B, bar, bar. B, bar, boar. All right? All right, we're all the same.
I think I need a little slower, maybe.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So, all right. So line number 4, everybody. Line number 4. Look at the rebar. Line number 4. All right. 4. Rebar, rebor, baror, berabor, rubar, rubab. Yeah. By the way, anybody know what the word barur means? Clear. Clear. Is it clear? Hakol barur. Is everything clear? Barur. Barur. Israelis would be the reish. Barur. I can't do it clear. Okay, line number 5. 5. The same. 5 fingers. There are 4 fingers on the thumb. Line number 5. Bar, bar, bar. I didn't rewrite. Bar, ra. See, when you have 2 shvas together, we have a shva under the first letter followed by the next letter with a shva. Okay, look at this number, line 5, first word. You don't blend them.
No?
Line number, the word is bar, ra. Close. Bar, ra. Not barb, ra. Bar, ra. Barbaran. Barbaran, exactly. See, when 2 shvas are there, when you have a word or nonsense word, 2 letters, first letter has a shva under it, the second letter has a shva under it. That's easy to remember. The first shva is not pronounced. The second shva is pronounced. First shva is an end of a syllable. The second shva is at the beginning of a syllable sound. Okay? I can't help you. It is what it is. It's not, later on it won't be, these exercises is more difficult when it'll be later on. Okay? So line number 5, first word again is bar, bara. Next word, berura. Urbu. Rob. Bar. Bar. All right, so now rob is, you can't say rob without a shva sound under it.
Rob.
Well, you got the buh. You can't say it without it. If there's a V sound, rob, you can get away with it, right? Rob. But rob, how can you get the B sound out without that little extra sound?
Rob means rabbi.
Yes. Yes. That was probably a note or a different question. Okay, line number 6. B, ra, bor, roar, baru, baru. 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 Not burr. You can't have burr. Baru. Baru. Okay, everybody know how to clear your throat? Everybody can get a little, just don't spit it out. Okay.
So she's got to get her phlegm going.
What?
I always tell her she's got to get her phlegm going.
Yeah, where I'm going. Okay. All right. Hebrew has a chaf and a het. Most of the time, most people not making a distinction between the two of them, the chaf and the het. But the chaf is really at the top of the more at the top of the throat, and the het is further down in the throat. But
That's a cat as well.
what?
This one has a cat. That one doesn't.
All right. Yeah. Now the letter chaf, there's no dot in it right now. Since there's no dot in it, it's going to be the ch sound. Okay. The difference between the two forms of the letter, the one that looks sort of like a C, right, backward C, is at the beginning or middle of a word. The other one is at the end of a word. It can only be at the end of a word. It can never appear anywhere else. Actually, in Hebrew, the word is called chaf. The letter is a chaf. And the final form is the chaf sofit. Cha, 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 cha. It's not hard. It's Hanukkah, like Hanukkah. How do you say Hanukkah if you can't say ch? Hanukkah. Okay. No. It's one, it's clearly one of the difficult letters to pronounce. Yeah. All right. All right. Everybody got the cha down? Cha. And again, depends on what vowel is associated with it. Right? It could be a cha, it can be a chu, right? Depends what the vowel is. If there's no dot in it, right now there's no dot in it. That's what we're learning. So it's only right now it's only a ch sound.
So once you add the dot, it's
Forget that. Forget that. Don't think about anything else. You're helping there, huh? Okay. Okay, line number one, everybody. Line number one. Okay? Cha, cha, chu, chu, cha. Line number two. Bach, rach, chach, becha, racha. Let's start off with this. Line number two, we're going to do again together slowly. All right, I'll tell you. First word, line two, first word is Bach. Second word is Rach. Third word is Chach. Fourth word is Becha. Becha. Line. Why is it higher up? That was a standard way of doing it. Well, there in the Koren Sidur, they put it at the same line as the other vowels. But the tradition was perhaps because to make sure you don't put a dot in it in your mind, it's higher up in it. Okay? So you know there's no dot there. Okay? So let's do line number 2 over again, okay? Bach, rach, chach, becha, racha. Sorry about that. There you go. Line number 3. Bechach, rucha, bucha, roar, ruch, ruch, ruch. Yeah, that's it. Ruch. I got a ruch. Okay, because the 2 dots in it are not pronounced there. All right. Line number 4. Bechor, bachor, rabuch, rubach, rebucha. Okay, line number 5. Barur, burcha, barchu, rachbu, bachrach. 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 Yeah. What was it? What was the pianist? Bachrach? Burt Bacharach. Burt Bacharach. I don't know. Maybe that's where the name comes from. I don't know. Line number 6. Barach, berach, barchu, beburcha, becha.
I think we need to go slower for everybody.
Okay, line 6 again. Barach, berach, barchu, beburcha, becha. Becha. Right. If you would like some more confusion, it's not really barchu, but baruchu. Baruchu. And yeah, right? And the word is Baruch. It says it means blessed. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Amen. All right? You can give yourselves a pat on the back because you now read a Hebrew word. A real Hebrew word, Baruch. Yeah, Baruch. Tia Baruch. You should be blessed. Tired? Well, it's a little early to let you go yet. Okay. All right. Next go to page 7. We're just going to do 2 more pages. Okay, we do 2 more pages tonight. The letter Aleph, the first letter in the Hebrew alphabet, is not pronounced at all. It's basically a place saver for a vowel. Okay? So whenever you find the Aleph in a word, it is either going to be following a vowel sign or it will have a vowel sign associated with it. It can't be by itself in any way. Yeah. All right, so Aleph, all Aleph does is it serves as a placeholder that requires a vowel sound to follow it. All right, so now line number 1. Everybody together now. Line number 1. A, U, Ba, Ra, Be-u. Be-u. Line number 2. Ach, Ar, Ra, Abba, Ba'a. What is Abba?
Father.
Well, it's really more like daddy. It's a more personal. Av is a more formal way of doing it, like father versus daddy. Abba is really more of a daddy sound. Although the English word abbot comes from Abba. You know, the head of the abbey. All right? That's what Abba.
So Abba Ibn, that was his real name?
Now, yeah, Abba can also be a name.
Okay.
Not very often. All right, okay. Line number 2. Ach, Ar, Ra, Abba, Ba'a. Line number 3. Bur, Ur, Ba'u, Arur, Be'ur. Arur. Don't be Arur. Don't be cursed. Okay. All right. Line number 4. Okay. Ba'ur, Arbu, Bara, Ra'ucha, Baruchu. It's really pronounced Baruchu. When you have that vowel followed by 2 dots, it's going to be the sounding of the shvat. Baruchu. You just have to know that. Baruchu. It's Baruchu. It's really Baruchu. Baruchu. Baruchu et Ad Hashem HaMivorach. Praise be God who's to be blessed. Right? Baruchu. Okay, line number 5. Aruch, Arucha, Abcha, Abba, Bara. What is the second word in the Torah? Bara. In the beginning, Bereshit bara Elohim. At the beginning of things, God created. Maybe it's hard to translate Bereshit. Yeah, land far, galaxy far, far away. Line number 6. Be'a, be'u, be'ura, ba'ur, aruba. Arriba, that's Arriba, not Aruba. Arriba, Arriba. Okay. All right, now we're going to learn, this is going to be the last page for tonight to make life interesting. This is called the patach. The vowel sign is a patach. So we have in Sephardic pronunciation, we have 2 vowel sounds that are pronounced the same. Ah. All right? Just as in Shabbat, this is ah. Now, technically, for those who want to know the technical grammatical situation, this is a short vowel, while the other is a long vowel. No, not capital.
It's a sound.
It's just a sound. When you have a kamatz, you can have a syllable which consists of a letter and the kamatz. That's a syllable. If you have a patach, you have to have a consonant, patach, consonant. Okay? Well, we haven't talked about kamatz katan yet, so all right. Okay, so we're going to treat it for pronunciation's sake as ah. Okay. Okay. So line number 1. Ra, ba, cha, a, Line number 2. Ach, bar, bach, char, rach. Line number 3. Becha, bara, aracha, barcha. Barcha. See, if it were kamatz, it would be baracha. But it's a patak, so it's barcha. Okay, line number 4. Rucha, rabcha, rebach, arba. Okay, let's do line number 4 again. Rucha, rabcha, rebach, arba. Okay, so what, you have a question, Shani? Oh, okay. Okay. Line number 5. Ruch, bachar, arbu, baru, urachu. All right, line number 6. Arach, be'arach, ra'u, arach. 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 Is arach. Arach. When you have the which is the patach, which is this horizontal line, and then you have a letter with a shva under it after that, the shva is not going to be pronounced. That's called, it's a short syllable because you have a consonant, vowel, consonant. Ar. Similar at the end, ach. But when you have, we had it here somewhere. Line 4, the last word, arba. Okay, but where's Baruch? Wasn't Baruch here? Yeah.
Arba was the last one on line 4.
Arba.
Same thing in Arabic as in Hebrew.
Does it?
Yeah.
I don't know the Arabic for 4 is.
Pretty similar. It's like very, very similar.
Let's see. Chad tlat. No, chad trei tlat. I forget what its 4th is. That's Aramaic. Arabic. Yeah. All right. See, let's go back. All right. Turn back to page 7. Page 7, line 4, the last word. Ba-ra-chu. Okay? You have the kamatz followed by the letter with the shva under it. So it's going to be ba-ra-chu. All right? Just like on the last line, the last word is aruba. Not aruba. Aruba.
You gotta go syllable by syllable.
Yeah, aruba. 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 What? All right, any questions on what we've done tonight? Now look, what we've done tonight will be absolutely worthless if you don't practice.
Do we continue this book next week?
Yes. We will continue on page 9 next week. We will do 4 or 5 pages each night. Okay? Mitzvah? I'm sorry? Yeah, we're going to be talking about prayer. So if possible, please bring a Siddur to the class next week, preferably the Koran, Siddur, but whatever. We will talk about prayer in general. And then November 9th, we'll talk about the Talit and Tefillin and Mezuzah, and we'll have hands-on as well. All right, yes.
For the week, you're supposed to bring a Talit. We don't have one yet.
Don't worry about it then. Prayer shawl. Okay, if you don't have, you don't have. I will certainly bring my Talit and Tefillin. Okay. Well, we'll talk about that. Are you sure only you get to dress up in it?
Actually, depends what show you go to.
That's right.
What?
Yeah, depends where you go to shul, what they do. All right. Okay, everybody. Practice, practice, practice. As they say in Aramaic, Zil Gamir, go learn.
I'm returning your book in case we need to throw it.
Yeah, next week you'll get penalized or penalized, depending on how you want to pronounce it.
Should we keep that or leave that?
Those are yours. She borrowed, that's your book. Write in it, script. That's why it's yours. That's why it's yours. It's yours.
You should take that now.
I was going to say,
Okay. All righty.
And Rabbi, is it okay if you email those over this week and then I'll pick up the book on the 9th?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Is it okay if you just scan those over for next week and then I'll pick up the book the following
Sure.
week? Okay.
Sure. Glean that over without taking notes, but I'll make sure you get it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Rabbi.
All righty.
Sarah and I would just pretend to know what they're talking about. That's right. Every day in my house, like sometimes I can't.
Don't go there.
Choose your battles, right?
Exactly.
You know, it's funny. When I went to Israel and I have all my little nieces and nephews, they rattle off the Hebrew like nothing.
Oh, that's right. Nadia said she's gonna be back there by next week, and she's gonna go.
Well, I hope you don't just go roar, 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 roar.
She goes, God, how did the rabbis in the synagogue, how did they pray so fast? So it's just like you know Spanish, they know Hebrew.